Welcome to the TAC Index AI podcast, January 29th, 2026, where we blend TAC IP data, reports, and charts with the latest news in all things logistics with a focus on air cargo.
It's great to be here. And we are looking at a market that is really defying the usual playbook right now. We're right on the doorstep of the Chinese New Year, which should be this golden period for air freight, but the numbers are just surprisingly quiet.
Quiet is, yeah, that's an understatement. I was looking at the global Baltic air freight index, the BAI0, and instead of that pre-holiday surge, we actually saw a drop.
The drop, right.
3.3% last week, and we're sitting over 6% lower than this time last year.
That's it. That's the missing spike that, everyone in the industry is whispering about. Normally, you'd see this frantic front-loading, shippers rushing to get things out before the factories close down.
Right.
We saw ocean rates climb early for this, but for air cargo, man, it just hasn't really materialized.
So does that mean supply chain planners are just getting smarter, maybe using ocean more effectively and saving air for, true emergencies?
It could be part of it, but it's not a uniform drop, and that's where the story gets really complicated.
Yeah.
You have to dig into the regional data.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, totally. I mean, out of China, rates to the U.S. are down, but then rates to Europe actually ticked up a little. Shanghai's basically flat, just holding on.
But the real outlier I saw was Vietnam. While all these traditional hubs are treading water, rates out of Vietnam are climbing.
They are, to both Europe and the U.S.
Which really highlights that whole China plus one manufacturing shift we've been tracking for a while. The freight is physically following the factories.
Precisely. But then you flip it around and look at the destination side, specifically Europe, and the floor just fell out this week.
I really did.
Frankfurt dropped 8.6%. And London Heathrow. I mean, it dipped nearly 9%. That's a huge pullback.
And yet, if you're moving goods out of Chicago, it's a totally different story. The BAI 50 index rebounded almost 9%.
A real bright spot.
So we have this really soft global picture, but it's peppered with these intense hotspots. And that's just the revenue side. We really need to talk about the margin squeeze, because costs are moving in the wrong direction.
They certainly are. Oil prices are hovering near 4-month highs. Both Brent and WTI are set for, a 10 to 12% rise just this month?
Wow.
That is a massive hit to the bottom line for any carrier.
And it feels like a perfect storm, almost literally. You've got winter storms in the U.S. knocking out energy infrastructure, restricting supply. But the currency piece is also fascinating.
Weak dollar, yeah.
The U.S. dollar is hitting 4-year lows.
And that's a critical factor. I mean, since oil is priced in dollars, a weaker dollar makes it cheaper for foreign buyers. So that stimulates demand, which, pushes the price of crude up even further.
So carriers are getting hit by a supply shock from the weather and a demand shock from the currency markets, all while freight rates are softening. That's a tough spot to be in.
It is a classic margin squeeze. But, the economic backdrop isn't all bad news. The Federal Reserve is expected to hold interest rates steady.
Between 3.5 and 3.75%, right? Because the U.S. economy is showing some resilience.
Exactly. And you can see that resilience in the high-tech sector. Did you see AML just reported record orders for their chip-making equipment?
I did. And that is definitely not stuff you just put in a sea container.
No, absolutely not. Those machines are massive, delicate, and incredibly expensive. That signals really strong demand for specialized, heavy-lift air logistics, even if general cargo is soft.
So the question then becomes, is there enough of that specific capacity to handle a surge?
That's the big worry. And just briefly, speaking of shifting flows, I saw a note about a new push for U.S. agricultural exports to Malaysia. I think it was peanut butter.
Peanut butter, of all things.
It sounds minor, but it's a great example of how policy dictates logistics. A new trade deal opens up a lane for a specific commodity, and suddenly you have a new flow. It's a good reminder that these lanes aren't static.
Okay, so to pull this all together, we've got this missing seasonal rush, a manufacturing pivot toward places like Vietnam, and rising fuel costs squeezing carrier margins from the other side.
The big takeaway, I think, for anyone listening is to watch that inventory strategy.
Yeah.
If the pre-CNY air cargo rush is truly gone, it might suggest a bigger structural shift, where air freight is becoming a purely reactive tool for disruptions, not a seasonal standard.
Something to keep an eye on as the year unfolds. Until next time.